This month on Pocono Mountains Magazine, we'll visit the state park with a brand new state-of-the-art facility for you, the visitors. Find out what happens behind the scenes at one of the most important business organizations anywhere in the Poconos. And we go inside this alternative to traditional high school where students are getting a leg up on their futures. Plus, an in-depth discussion with people who want to help those in the LGBTQ community navigate some of the hurdles to finding resources in the Pocono Mountains.
Hi everyone, and welcome to Pocono Mountains Magazine for November 2020. I'm your host, Jim Hamill, here in Boulder Field, Carbon County. This is Hickory Run State Park, and this is a prehistoric phenomenon here. This place was created hundreds of thousands of years ago by melting ice that broke up all this rock and created this beautiful setting here for people to come on out and clamber over and just enjoy time outdoors here in the Pocono Mountains. So we have a lot in this program for you, our second program for Pocono Mountains Magazine. We thank you for joining us for this next hour, and we appreciate you watching and tuning in here on Pocono Television Network or Blue Ridge Cable, and obviously online on Facebook as well. So thank you again for watching, and we want to bring you some of the better stories throughout the Pocono Mountains that have been in the news over the past month.
Here's what's making headlines in the Pocono Mountains. Good Morning America visited Woodloch Resort in Pike County, meeting one of the star staff members here, Nick List, a young man with autism.
And among the dedicated staff is one exceptional young man named Nicholas List.
Nick is a pleasure. He's a joy to know.
A company in the Poconos is being recognized for their superior brew.
WNEP-TV showcased a big achievement by Wallenpaupack Brewing Company in the Great American Beer Festival, scoring a silver medal for its English Mild Pale Ale in the English Mild or Bitter category this year. The Scranton Times-Tribune newspaper reports Penn's Peak is considering holding indoor events at its beautiful mountaintop venue in Jim Thorpe. The Standard Speaker in Hazleton took a look at visiting Stroudsburg in its column Getaway for a Day, featuring Stroudsburg shops, restaurants, and historic sites. Pike County was given the Governor's Award of Excellence for 3 initiatives, including an opioid task force, tick-borne diseases task force, and a reentry coalition. And finally, Philly Mag's November issue includes a spread on Honesdale and the surrounding area as more young business owners put their mark on the community, attracting more interest in investing in the historic town's future.
Welcome back, everybody. There's a lot of cool things that you can check out right here in the Pocono Mountains, some new, some old, like Boulder Field here in Hickory Run State Park. This place is thousands of years old, created by an ice age breaking up all this rock, and now you can come here with your family and jump from rock to rock and really take some cool pictures. And so many people visit Hickory Run State Park year in and year out. And now there's a brand new facility that's state-of-the-art for visitors here at Hickory Run.
The fireplace at the brand new Hickory Run State Park Visitor Center and office is warm and welcoming. And the facility, both inside and out, a new direction for this part of the Pocono Mountains and its state parks.
Everything you see here has the capacity to transform someone's understanding and visitation to something much deeper. Someone who may come in for a picnic or a walk could leave understanding watersheds or understanding conservation or a new appreciation for wildlife, new understanding of their connection to nature.
And nature is something intertwined with this facility, surrounded by rain gardens and built to be energy efficient, environmentally friendly, and for all who come through these doors, educational.
The new facility is behind us. It definitely gives us a lot more ability to reach the visiting public and welcome them in the way that really a park like this and a complex like this, because this isn't just Hickory Run, it's Hickory Run, Lehigh Gorge, and Nescopeck State Parks. It gives us the ability to welcome that public and let them know what we have to offer for them.
Great.
Officials cut the ribbon on the facility in mid-October, eager to share these informative exhibits with the many visitors as something of a starting point for their experiences in the park and in nearby Lehigh Gorge State Park.
This is bigger and better.
Edward Fatorsky has been a campground host at Hickory Run State Park for more than a decade and now gets to welcome guests at this new center.
I think it's very educational for them to come and see this stuff because a lot of people have no idea. You know, if you live in a city and you've never been in the woods, they have no idea what goes on. And this is a good learning process, I think, yes.
Hickory Run State Park has plenty to offer. 40 miles of trails, waterfalls, and the expansive Boulder Field, a natural phenomenon and a major draw for visitors year after year. And in a year that has seen record crowds at state and national parks, including this park in Carbon County, state forestry officials are thankful to have this new tool to help in their mission.
We're happy to have them come out and experience all we have to offer.
Thank you again for watching Pocono Mountains Magazine. I'm Jim Hamill, and we'll be right back after this.
What's in a promise? It's a way to say that we care. With the Pocono Promise, we're saying that you and your family come first. You and your comfort. You and your experience. And oh, by the way, we want you to have fun. It's the best way to rejuvenate yourself, and it's older than, well, the hills. We've always been here, and we always will be. Feel the comfort again when you visit the Pocono Mountains. Find us and the Pocono Promise at PoconoMountains.com.
So here we are in the age of doing things online, including Zoom meetings and GoToMeetings. I don't know if you're like me, but we've definitely had to adapt to a new way of doing business and helping the community. And we wanted to feature a group, an organization here on Pocono Mountains Magazine this month that has adapted quite well to the changing landscape as it relates to the current crisis and all the restrictions, and that's the Pocono Chamber of Commerce and its staff, which has really adapted and done a lot of work behind the scenes to continue promoting our region and our businesses. I hope you enjoy.
Pick any day of the week and you're going to find this crew hard at work at their office on Main Street in Stroudsburg or out in the community. The Pocono Chamber of Commerce, headed up by Marlon Keister, has turned getting it done into an art form, from pivoting during a pandemic to keeping businesses afloat. This crew's mission is being accomplished time and time again.
The Chamber of Commerce is honestly, it's a lot of things to a lot of people, and we're very proud to be able to serve communities, small businesses, large businesses, nonprofits, any kind of organization, and really help them market their business.
Thank you for calling the Pocono Chamber. This is Michael speaking. How can I help you?
In a nutshell, that's what the Chamber does. But there's so much behind the scenes that happens. Michael Marino and Liz Blos, two of the key players on the Chamber team, answer phones and emails while planning events and bringing members on board.
We have tons of events. I would say definitely around 100 events a year. Again, some are small events and some are really large events.
Big like the Busy Awards, the annual celebration of the best in the Poconos business community, and held this year in spite of the Herculean lift it was to make sure it was done safely.
A lot of behind the scene logistics. You know, when our members come to our events, they're coming for a few hours and then they're leaving. But a lot of planning goes into the events. Typically, we start planning events months in advance.
There are monthly events as well, some held virtually due to COVID-19, and each one a benefit to the growing membership of the Chamber.
So I am the membership relations individual. I'm almost like the first introduction to the Chamber when people call or when we're going to events. I'm always out there with an extended elbow now with COVID to meet and greet our potential new members, our current members, and future members.
Being a member has a lot of benefits, especially when you can tap into a network of 6,000 members all throughout the region.
We just started the LGBTQ Business Council, which is bringing in new LGBTQ businesses and allied members.
The Chamber is there for really anything that a business needs to be successful, and if the Chamber can't do that, we find somebody who can.
Things like networking opportunities, writing press releases, and advocating for good public policy. These are where the Pocono Chamber of Commerce excels, and in times of great need like the current public health and economic crisis.
And I'm very, very proud to say that we've been able to help our businesses navigate a lot of those questions, but now we really worked on the reopen as well.
And now, the Chamber is helping small businesses and large, nonprofits and more navigate the funding sources during a difficult year and beyond, all to help the Poconos thrive and succeed. If you'd like to contact these folks at the Pocono Chamber, you can call them at 570-421-4433 or head to their website, greaterpoconochamber.com. Well, November is here, and with it, the holiday season is fast approaching. Just a reminder, Small Business Saturday is the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and mom and pop shops throughout the Poconos are relying on customers to support them, especially this holiday season, from right here in Stroudsburg to here in downtown Honesdale and everywhere in between in the Poconos. Downtown shops, mom and pop run businesses that rely ever more this year on your support for this holiday season.
There's just something very special and endearing to me to see the customers come in and really have their heart into being in here and shopping with us and making an effort to do it locally.
The doors are open at Wallflower on Main Street in Honesdale. Shoppers have been supporting this small business and its owner, Joyce, and are needed to keep it up through the upcoming holidays.
They're really the basis of the economy, and people are starting to realize that by the way that they're voting with their dollars and shopping with all of us.
With everybody closing down and stuff, yeah, we could do with the business.
Fitzpatrick's on Main Street in Stroudsburg has been in business 16 years, offering Irish and Celtic gifts you can't find in department stores.
Christmas has always been the big holiday for me, so it is very important, and especially this year because we were closed for like 2.5 months. So we have a lot of merchandise that we need to get rid of, and hopefully everybody will come in and shop early this year.
And every year, small businesses play extremely important roles in the communities which they call home, supporting youth sports leagues, fundraisers, and so much more. Fitzpatrick's and Wallflower and shops just like them are depending on Small Business Saturday and every day.
And I'm proud of our downtown. I've been here since 1985. I've seen what has evolved on Main Street. We have been on one of our highs with all that's being offered, from anything from coffee shops to eateries to other boutiques, restaurants. It's amazing what's in place, but for it to stay intact, we need people to think shop small, shop local.
Put it on your calendars. Small Business Saturday is November 28th.
Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Chris Baird for Pocono Mountains Magazine. So happy that you are with us. I'm also really happy to have Don Seipel with me. And Don Seipel is the El Presidente of St. Luke's Monroe campus. And I'm so glad to see you again, Don. And just to recap a little bit, we did some live programming through the first part of the pandemic, and I was honored to meet Don. Very, very honored, and to also meet Elizabeth Wise, who we'll talk to a little bit later. But Don, it's so good to have you.
Yeah, you too. I'm glad to be back under different circumstances now,
Yes.
and you know, I'm anxious to see Elizabeth in a bit. We'll get to chat a little bit, but yeah, thank you for having us.
Oh my gosh, it's our pleasure. And what's happened since then? What's St. Luke's looking like now? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling really good. You know, first of all, I would say that the community, the work that the community has done to manage COVID by masking and social distancing, I think by far has been probably the single greatest thing that has helped us in this community as healthcare providers.
Was there anything that surprised you to where we're at now?
You know, I guess just, you know, we were articulating the message, we believed it, but it really worked.
It did.
You know, so I guess that was probably the biggest, you know, I don't know if a surprise, but it was really gratifying to see the work we did, and it really had the outcome we said it would have.
I know, and I think that's why we're all really thrilled. But now that we're past that, and I know a second wave might be coming, unfortunately, but I wanted to ask, you're kind of back, you're back to normal, right,
Yeah.
pretty much?
Yeah, we're back to normal. We have very little or no COVID in our hospitals. Our operations are almost back to where they were pre-COVID. Patients have, you know, one of the things we said, people weren't coming to the hospital for heart attacks and strokes, and they are now, you know, and people are coming for their care, their preventative care, and we're in a great place. Right now, we still at the hospital level have very low hospitalization, which is great. Now that we're going inside, we should expect to see the numbers to increase. But we can do our part by what we've always talked about, the masking, the hand hygiene, the social distancing, and that will reduce the severity and the occurrence of it. And I'm confident that that's what we're going to see. We're not going to see what, in my opinion, we're not going to see what happened in the spring happen this fall and winter.
Good, and that's what we want to hear, and we're happy to hear that. And Don, we're going to have you back many times.
Yep.
We're going to have a lot of your folks in, and we're so happy that you're partnering with us. And that's been the great thing about this process is we partnered with so many great people within our community, Don being one of them. And right now, we're going to hear a message from St. Luke's.
Extraordinary care, outstanding patient experience, accessible services. When you choose St. Luke's Monroe campus, you choose compassionate care delivered by our highly trained staff of healthcare professionals, all powered by the strength of St. Luke's University Health Network.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Pocono Mountains Magazine and this portion of Pocono Perspectives. My name is Jim Hamill and I welcome you again to the November issue of Pocono Mountains Magazine. And I want to welcome some very special guests to the studio here at East Stroudsburg University. I have AJ Thayer to my right and his mother, Catherine Thayer, to his right. AJ and Catherine came to us and brought a very compelling story about some times that they had difficulties trying to find their way through their relationship and through some very difficult times, as some people have also found, and now you want to be there to help them through that. AJ, I'd like to turn to you and learn a little bit more about transitioning from Anna to AJ.
Sure. So let's see here. I am 28 years old now, and when I started transitioning, I was 24-ish. So it's been a 4-year journey of really finding resources, finding education, learning about this, and then putting it into practice and finding the way to do that. And also, you know, getting mom on board and the family, and being really, really lucky to be so supported as I am and to be so loved. But it has been quite a hard journey. It
No
took
doubt.
a bit to get there.
Yeah. No doubt. We sat down a little while ago and had a discussion. We're about to watch that right now. But Catherine, you also went through some time of realizing that this was a choice that you had, whether to accept your son or to find a way then to live life without AJ. And that's not anything that you could do. And so you decided to help others like you and form LGBTQ Pride.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, I did. Well,
What is the organization about?
It's a nonprofit, 501c3. It's new, and it's all about bringing resources and referrals to the Pocono Mountains. So we couldn't find anybody, and I'll skip my story because I wasn't so good, and I didn't have anywhere to go really to help me, and certainly didn't have anywhere to help him, to fix him for what I thought, right? Let's fix him, he's broken, but he wasn't, I was. But anyway, so now we had to go to Philadelphia for all of his services. There are a lot of services down in Lehigh and Allentown, but there's nothing in the Pocono Mountains. And so many of these children are sent away from their families when they come out. So they have no transportation, they have no money, they have no any way to get anywhere. And it's really needed and wanted. Lots of drugs, homeless, no food, no anything for these kids, and they need help.
And it's one of those stories that can maybe help others. I want to share that with folks now at home, and I appreciate you guys sitting down and talking with us.
Absolutely.
And here's AJ and Catherine's story. It has taken a good many years, but Catherine and AJ are in a good place. Mother and son on a mission to help others just like them.
For me, gay was all right. Trans just put me over the top, and I wasn't good at it.
That was the initial reaction Catherine had when AJ, formerly Anna, decided to undergo a gender transition in his mid-20s.
Didn't want it. I didn't want it. I don't think that there's any parent of a trans child that's going to come to you and say, all right, yay, my child's trans. It's a very difficult life. You wouldn't choose it for your own child.
But as they explain it, the decision was the right one for many reasons. Back before AJ came to realize it was his gender identity that was causing turmoil, the family was on a difficult path of struggles with substance abuse and depression.
depression, self-harm, drugs, alcohol, addictions.
Arrested.
Only recently did I come to the best years of my life, and it's only going to get better from here.
As AJ will tell you, growing up a tomboy was nothing out of the ordinary, but eventually, a misdiagnosis of bipolar disorder just didn't fit. It was something else, and that was something called gender dysphoria.
And I remember being like, wait, hold on, that's a thing? You feel that too? I'm not crazy.
AJ is referring to Caitlyn Jenner, the U.S. Olympic athlete whose identity as a transgender woman garnered national attention and provided clarity for then Anna.
Caitlyn being a very 2010s, that generation, being right there and being front and center and really putting herself out there like that, that was so good. That was so hopeful and inspiring.
Mother and son are quick to admit transgender was not an easy pill to swallow for Catherine. Testosterone helped with the behavioral issues AJ was experiencing. However, Catherine was unable to comprehend it.
What about Anna? I have this daughter here for like 25 years, I guess, at that time. And you have dreams for your children, and you have all of that that's there, And and for AJ, it was always like, but I'm here.
But, as with many things, time and education led Catherine to a place where she was able to see AJ's transition as the right thing for him. Catherine admits she was ignorant, but she was faced with a decision.
So I can either go along with this and have him, or I could say get out, which a lot of parents sadly and unfortunately do, and lose my child. Well, for me, that wasn't an option.
So now, the mother-son duo are on the other side of that struggle, in a much different place.
My heart is so happy that I cry all the time. They're like, come on, Mom,
She's a
really?
walking waterfall.
You're such a sap. But after all of those years, to see him happy, which is all a parent really wants. You just want your child to be happy.
We, the trans children, have more to look for and more to look at and more to read up on, and we can constantly kind of gain information. But parents, teachers, you know what I mean? The bigger picture outside of the one self that is transitioning has nothing in the way of resources, in the way of, God, you guys don't have anything.
And that's why their mission now is to help others in the Poconos who don't know where to go or what to do, so that others can experience this same feeling, one that fits who Catherine and AJ are, mother and son.
So that was a really special time that we had together, and of course your story is so impactful. You both are so open about it. How did you become to be so open about your journey and where you continue to go with your destination with LGBTQ Pride?
Well, I guess because of the lack of resources, and what went on, I think we actually started out, we were going to write a book, Becoming AJ, as part of what was going to happen, and that didn't happen, but so many other things evolved out of it. And I always say that my son is my biggest teacher. He's always been willing to absolutely be who he is. When it was Anna, and Anna was gay, it didn't matter. Family, friends, if they liked him, they liked him. If they didn't like him, it didn't matter. Mm-hmm. And I learned a lot from that. And in that, we've been asked to speak a lot of places, and he's been so willing to be out there that we just followed through with that just because it's so important,
Yeah, I'll say for me that I have to. It's kind of like I have always been exactly who I am. There's never been a moment of hesitation on that. And I didn't have anybody, aside from like Caitlyn Jenner, to look up to, so there needs to be more.
And I will tell you
that
the night that he had his mastectomy, we were at a hotel in Philadelphia, and we got a phone call from a woman who had been listening to some podcasts that we did with ESU. And she said, before she hung up, her last words to me were, I want you to know there are so many people out there silently listening to everything that you have to say. And I still get chills every time I hear it, and I hung up the phone and I said, AJ, this is why we need to do what we need to do, because they're out there with nowhere to go.
That's absolutely wonderful. We can't thank you enough for sharing your story. We're going to keep you around and discuss some more LGBTQ issues with some folks coming up right after this.
To book your stay, visit rainbowmountain.net.
Welcome back, everyone. That story with AJ and his mother, Catherine, was just very special. We want to take that another step further and welcome some other people who have some expertise with respect to the LGBTQ community. Joining AJ and Catherine here on the set, I have Amanda Hecker to my left. Amanda is a transgender woman who has joined us now from, you have a home here in the Poconos, and you said you just love this area too.
Yes,
so this is a place that is special to you, and we appreciate you joining us here for Pocono Perspectives. To Amanda's left, we have Dr. Mary Stock Keister from Lehigh Valley Health Network, and Mary has a good background in understanding the issues in the community, right, Mary? You said earlier on the phone that you want to help people find themselves, especially when they come to you with issues trying to do things like AJ did in transition.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So I'm a family physician by training, which means that my expertise is actually in generalism, in trying to meet the needs of as many people that I care for as possible. And that means being open to the experiences that people have in their lives and they bring with them into the physician's office, and how their experiences in the rest of their lives may make it difficult for them to open up in that clinical space, but how important it is for us as clinicians to make a safe space so that people can bring us all of who they are, because it's only by knowing those things that we can really help them become the people they're meant to be.
And for you, Amanda, I'm sure that was the case. You needed to find a way to take that next step. How did that come to pass for you, and especially with respect to the needs in your community?
Well, for me personally, it was a matter of finding a support group. It's very important for trans people to see people that are just like them. So I found the Renaissance Transgender Association, which was in the Lehigh Valley. So I got involved with the Lehigh Valley, and over a period of years became active in the Lehigh Valley community and so on, and also in the LGBT community there, for associated with not only Renaissance but the Bradbury Sullivan Center, and for support for the LGBT community. But my real interest was in educating of the general population, right. And that's where my focus is now.
And that's where you've taken your talents as well with Catherine and AJ through LGBTQ Pride. Amanda's a board member for LGBTQ Pride, and you guys are trying to get the message out there. What ways in which do people need to learn about the issues facing people who are trans, people who are gay, people who are bisexual or lesbian?
So many ways. So as far as LGBTQ, there's so much ignorance around all of it, and education is so very important. And particularly in the Poconos, there aren't a lot of medical resources here. So like down Lehigh Valley, there's a lot, Scranton more, here not so much. So we're trying to bring those resources here because they need psychological counseling, psychiatric, as far as hormone replacement therapies. We need places for them just to go and hang out with people of like minds. And we need all of that. So all of it just under the guidelines of education. My background is actually in the resorts and hospitality. Right. So I've been asked to speak to staffs at the resorts about being LGBTQ friendly. I know, Amanda, your background is in trainings for corporate, also to bring light to the issues that are there, because they don't know. My son has come back so many times from doctors going, "I'm so frustrated." Yeah. And I'm so happy to hear you say what you say over there, because he has to teach them what it is that he needs and wants. And so we need people that are aware of what's needed and wanted, and willing to come. I'm even trying to get somebody to come one day a month just to come up to do prescriptions for them, because if he doesn't have his hormones when he needs them, they go through a whole process. For a trans man, they actually wind up menstruating again. If there's so many things that happen that people have no idea of if they don't have the proper medical supervision and things like that. But AJ, if you want to add.
So I would say the big like moving factor behind us working together as well as with Amanda and creating LGBTQ Pride, for me is you got to put a friendly face also to like being trans and to being a good like advocate of, and I'm so glad that Amanda's here with me today. I know that for me, my big thing is going out there, talking about it, humanizing it, creating a good dialogue versus someone just saying like, this is what it is. Like, let's talk about it. Let's talk about why it's hard to find good medical care up in this area for trans issues. Let's talk about what it is to be trans. Let's talk about what it is to experience that, to be a parent of. Without the education, without humanizing it, I find that ignorance has a lot more chance to stay there versus making it real and making it friendly.
Which then also leads us to drug abuse, homelessness, all the other issues that then go around what happens with these kids.
And abuse as well. I mean, the statistics show that transgender women are very much statistically more likely to become the victims of assault. And that is something that we really need to kind of reckon with as a society so that we can get past it and move to a better appreciation for everybody's differences.
Especially trans women of color are very susceptible to assault by other people.
Right, right. Tell me a little bit about what it is then that you might see, Doctor, when people come to you and start that process that AJ did. It must be very difficult for them because sometimes they might have some background in what the issues are, but this is something that they're experiencing for the first time, possibly.
Possibly, yeah. So even just 5 or 6 years ago in the Lehigh Valley, I would say that I hadn't had a trans person come into my office and say, this is my story. Now, fortunately for me, several years prior to that, I was actually working a little closer to Philadelphia in Boyertown, and I had a gentleman in his 60s, appeared to be a gentleman, came in, very male, appearing, and left a letter behind. And he said, read this and decide if you want to still be my doctor. And after that, I read the letter, and they were describing, being a trans woman and what that had been like for them during the course of time. And at one point, she had been on estrogen therapy. I had to tell her, well, now you're in your mid-60s, and you still have some testosterone, and at this point, estrogen's dangerous for you, and I'm not going to be able to prescribe it, but I'm here to support you in any other way. So that was my first experience with taking care of a trans person. And then later on in my career, I was working in Bethlehem, and I had the good fortune to be working with a woman who's now the vice chair of the family medicine department, and a woman by the name of Beth Kariva. And she had some folks come into her and say, I'm a transgender person. I've been getting my transition medications from the Mazzoni Center, which is in Philadelphia and one of the premier places on the East Coast that does trans care. But I'm sick and tired of driving to Philadelphia every month. Is there any way that you would feel comfortable taking this on? We want to make sure that we're choosing patients well, but if Mazzoni's already done all of the background work and all I need to do is prescribe, yes, thank you. And that way, our patients are able to find the care that they need closer to home, which means that they get to save hours in the car.
Right.
They may want to go to King of Prussia, but they don't have to.
Right. And that's stress. That's a difficult road to begin with, let alone having to seek those out. And so what this organization, your organization, is trying to do is to bring this into the region so that people have this and have these conversations.
Let's bring it home.
Right.
Let's bring that good, I was commuting 2 hours to Philadelphia. I understand, I was in those shoes.
And you were very blessed to do that. What about the ones that can't?
No, absolutely.
The kids that have no money or no transportation, or they don't have family that supports them, or they can't get anywhere. They can't get to Allentown. They can't get to Lehigh. you know.
So let's bring it home.
Yeah, bring it home.
Well, that is
I
the
like
mission. That is certainly the mission now. That was a very important and special conversation we just had here, everybody. I can't thank you enough for joining us for Pocono Perspectives here on Pocono Mountains Magazine. For AJ, Catherine, Amanda, and Dr. Mary, we appreciate you guys joining us here. We now want to hear from somebody who spoke to the community at East Stroudsburg University recently to celebrate LGBTQ History Month in October. New Rodney Pratt had a message for students and people who are dealing with difficulties being accepted in their communities.
We have to start with ourselves, right? We have to be able to adjust and think about, how do I look at individuals? Where do my biases come from? How did I learn this information over time? We also have to create very deeper understandings of what diversity is.
Here in the beautiful Pocono Mountains, education is the name of the game, especially when it comes to high school age students. And here in Monroe County, students have another option for where they can learn, and that's MCTI. That's Monroe Career Technical Institute. Let's go inside for a look at what happens under this roof.
It's a Monday afternoon, and Andrew Turpin is working on his forte, electrical technology. A high school junior, Andrew and the roughly 1,000 other students at MCTI are learning a trade and could have a job when they graduate.
Well, it's just good to be prepared. You don't want to be getting out of high school and be like, oh, what am I going to do next?
For Andrew, he'll have choices: go to college or go union. And that's exactly what this alternative to traditional high school has been doing for students since the 1970s.
Opportunity is a good word. I mean, I like to call it options. I think options lead to success. So, students can come here if they want to enter the workforce immediately. They can come here, learn a trade, and be marketable once they leave high school. Not every high school kid can say that.
We got a tour of the massive school with everything from the new computer information science courses to cosmetology.
Coming to the school will definitely prepare you for your future.
And Tatiana Beckworth, who's on track to have her license when she graduates in 2 years.
And many people, they wait until after high school, then they have to pay like thousands of dollars to go to school and spend the time learning it, when I already did it while I was in high school.
MCTI is the right fit for Tatiana and Storm Fernandez.
I want to be the change that can come into the world.
Perfecting her fingerprinting skills with us, Storm is going to continue her schooling in criminal justice in Rhode Island, and thanks to MCTI, will have college credits to go with her. Plus, some of those intangibles you need to be successful.
It teaches you, not only does it teach you about the career path that you want to go into, but it helps you with how to carry yourself. There's a lot of things that you can get from MCTI that a regular high school won't be able to give you.
They learn that responsibility, being on time, being prepared. Most of the programs require some type of uniform.
And as supervisor of student services, Amy Thomas explained students get to know early on, as early as 9th grade, if a career path they're studying is right for them.
And if not, at least they know now in high school, and not when they get to college and they've already spent thousands of dollars and decide maybe they want to switch programs or try something else.
At Monroe Career and Technical Institute, we are preparing students for a successful career and future.
The teachers at MCTI are also industry experts, and students are able to use some of the latest equipment needed for the job. MCTI invites anyone, including students and parents, to join a virtual open house in early December. For more information, you can head to monroecti.org or to MCTI's Facebook page.
Well, earlier in the show, we talked to Dawn Seipel from St. Luke's Monroe campus, and I'm so thrilled to have Elizabeth Wise here. And she's president of Lehigh Valley Health System Pocono, and I have masks, I have all kinds of stuff. As I said with Dawn, Elizabeth was one of the people who really gave us simple things to do, like to mask, like to wash our hands, like to social distance. We talked a little bit about, all that time period, how COVID rolled out and what happened. But I know we're maybe approaching a second wave. But How do you think we dealt with the first one from that point to where we are now?
You know, I was really impressed with how the county responded, in Monroe County, particularly the residents. Not only did they support us with personal protective equipment, but they also did the things that we asked them to do, you know, which is wear the mask and social distancing, washing hands. You know, people in the county really took it seriously, and that helped to really flatten the curve. And as a result of that, we saw a flattening of hospitalizations.
You know, it was such an unknown. Now you do know more, but I know one time you folks were really concerned about people putting off pre-existing conditions that they had. How's that going now?
So when we got the go-ahead to resume services by the governor, we acted very quickly because we don't want people to delay their health care. And so some of the things that we put in place, if you come to any one of our sites, I'll talk about our healthcare centers. When you come in the building, we're going to check your temperature. You can register online so that you don't have to register when you get into the facility. We'll take you back directly to the exam room. And there are visual cues outside of the room that says this room was cleaned or it's sanitary. And you'll see a lot of hand sanitizer. And so we have areas designated that we can safely take care of patients.
So as we look at a second wave, it's even more important to do some of those things you said, correct, with masking and all that?
Oh, absolutely. So we've learned a lot. We learned very quickly, and we still need people to pay attention to the things that, again, help to flatten the curve.
Well, Elizabeth, we need to help you because you helped us when this whole thing started. You and Don Seipel from St. Luke's have been stalwarts, and you've really cared for us. And I just want to say how thankful we are in this community to have wonderful health systems right here. So now we are going to show you a message from one of our wonderful health systems.
We've seen the concern in your eyes. You're scared, nervous, want to know if it's safe. The answer is yes. At LVHN, you'll see the extraordinary steps we take to get you the care you need safely. At all our facilities, you'll see temperature checks for everyone, that we sanitize every surface, and yes, you'll see that masks are required. What we look forward to seeing is relief in your eyes. Lehigh Valley Health Network. Your health deserves a partner.
Every day, some of our friends and neighbors in the Pocono Mountains wake up needing help. They may never have needed help before. Some have always needed it. Don't believe us? People from our communities will tell their stories. One Unite Away program supports early dental, vision, and hearing screenings for preschool-aged children.
We found some children as young as 2.5 and 3 that really have some significant vision problems. Without the United Way, the children that participate in the programs that we offer, it would not exist. And the vision issue, they wouldn't have been caught until they go to kindergarten.
Scholarship dollars for Hudson and Jude Kohler, who struggled in public school and needed a new way to learn that fit their needs and personalities.
My husband is a pastor and I wait tables at a local restaurant. Financially, we have no right of our children being at this school. And because of United Way and because of their donations, a door has been opened to us and many students.
Nikisha Smith and her 4 children are getting ahead.
Without that program, I feel like I would still be worrying about how to pay my bills. We were homeless once in their life. I would never, ever, ever want them to experience that in their lives. So me teaching them how to get ahead now or starting to instill that in them now will help them for the future, and getting ahead helped me to help my children.
The Smiles program provided 5-year-old Trinity Rice a mentor to get ready for kindergarten by helping her focus on basic spelling and writing.
She's very, very active. She doesn't sit still. They got her to do everything that I couldn't get her to do. They help you with everything. They were always there for any questions. Even when the pandemic happened, they would still call and email with different resources for you to get food for your kids, to get help for your kids if you needed it. They were always there.
Our community wins by living united.
I think that it's really important what the United Way does in many aspects and how they're serving the community and blessing the community.
I had no idea that the United Way did
this before. I had heard of it, like, you know, slogans or like old commercials, but I didn't realize exactly what they did in the community at all.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much. This program, the Getting Ahead program, is an amazing program for the community.
Please go to PoconoUnitedWay.org to donate today.
The United Way, not a handout, but a hand up. Extend us your hand today so we can help those who can't and live united.
Finally, here on Pocono Mountains Magazine, we wanted to show everybody the sheer amount of help that is coming to people in need this holiday season. You can see behind me all these cars lined up here at the Wayne County Fairgrounds near Honesdale. These folks are coming out for 800 free meals for the Thanksgiving season. Now, there are people here volunteering today from Wayne County, the county government. There are people here from Camp IHC in Wayne County, a summer camp, and also people volunteering with the Cooperage Project in downtown Honesdale, delivering these 800 meals, some with, you know, gallons of milk to disperse to people in need. And people only had to show up here today. It was first come, first serve, and they had to start the distribution early because there was such a big demand here. 800 meals going to people in need this holiday season, and that is something that the Pocono Mountains is all about, being thankful for what we have and also helping each other. These are all donated items for people here in the Pocono Mountains and especially in Wayne County who throughout this crisis this year have found a significant need. So we have many people here and we're going to meet them today who are helping to feed those people who live here, our neighbors and friends in the Poconos.
It's just been a really hard time. There's been so many changes, especially just around local things, but it's nice to have the local support with everybody. It really has. I mean, especially churches and everything. There's been so much good going on. It's just sad, unfortunate with what has happened. So many people are struggling. It's been rough.
It's been a full community effort, and today has been extremely humbling. The need has been ongoing. Some of it's been ongoing before COVID. Some of it has been certainly exacerbated by COVID, but families are extremely grateful for the help and support today.
And even before this food distribution was expected to start at 2 o'clock, there were cars lined up out of the entrance at Wayne County Fairgrounds here. And the executive director of the Cooperage Project, Era Fisher, joins me now. You want to talk about just how inspiring this is to see so many people come out and be able to deliver to them things in need.
Well, first of all, it's inspiring just to see the collaboration from all the community entities here. There's a lot of agencies, a lot of foundations, nonprofits, and community volunteers that are here. So just that show up is incredible. And then to see, you know, we've already given away 650 meals and it's half an hour into this. So it's sobering to realize that there's still this really real need for folks that are just needing a little help right now.
This was something that you started back when you had to close the Cooperage and start to administer to people in the community, you know, free meals. And this continues because this whole crisis continues and the need continues. And so this is really part of being the community, isn't it?
It sure is. You know, the Cooperage Project, along with many community partners this summer and spring, we really helped out the community with fresh food, and all that was made possible through donations. And we really thought it was important to show that we're still helping people and there's still a need, and the county and our community is going to show up and take care of folks.
That is something I think that we can all be very thankful for. Era, thank you again for everything that you do, as well as all of these wonderful organizations partnering together to bring the food to people in need that continues throughout this holiday season. Again, I'm Jim Hamill with Pocono Mountains Magazine. Thank you for watching.